Diving into a record today that has been a staple in my life and been a staple in a lot of people's lives, I think, out there from one of the most talented ska bands of all time. A ska band that has turned like the image of ska being cartoony, clowny, circusy, if you will, at times, or a little bit of a gimmick, a little bit of a gag, and like really like honing in on musicianship, songs with meaning. I'm not saying other ska bands didn't have that, but this band has really like perfected it. And they've put out some of the best music in the genre and just some of the best music of all time. You're listening to P is for Punk, and today S is for Somewhere in the Between. Streetlight Manifesto. Little punk mix, little ska mix. They got lyrical depth. They've got a lot of stuff, and they're kind of a mysterious band, if you will. Currently, they are in the process of releasing a new album at some point in 2026. I think they want to release it before this tour kicks off. That's happening relatively quickly here. It was supposed to be out already, but they're kind of like the Grand Theft Auto 6 of punk rock, of ska, where you don't really know when the release is going to be. This is a common occurrence for Streetlight Manifesto. They take their music pretty seriously, and they're not going to release an album until it is deemed perfect for the listening audience and for the people. They have released 3 songs currently for this new run, and you can find those on like YouTube. But outside of that, we don't know when this new music is coming, and it's been a minute since we've gotten some new Streetlight Manifesto. But we're gonna go back way yonder, way back to 2007 to talk about Somewhere in the Between, one of my favorite Streetlight Manifesto records. It's everything. It's technical, it's emotional, it has a lot of connections to a lot of people out there, a lot of like raw energy, and they do a great job of making their music so much more complex than your average ska band, but in a really good way. They kind of have like, they make you think. Their lyrics make you ponder life, existence, and all those kinds of things. So it's an album that is a lot of fun. And when I was like diving into this more, I was thinking about what these songs mean a little bit more. Even like I have an interesting idea of the album artwork, and I could be completely wrong on it. But if if you're just looking at the album artwork at a first glance, it kind of looks like an old like 1970s, 1980s like kitchen tile. But I'll give you my theory a little bit later. Streetlight Manifesto, fronted by Tom Kolnacki. I think that's how you say it. He originally was the founder and the lead singer, writer for Catch 22, and wrote KSB Nights, which is an amazing album. So good, so just amazing and a lot of fun. They did re-record it as Streetlight Manifesto in 2002. So Streetlight Manifesto re-recorded KSB Nights in its entirety. But when it comes to that album, I do go for the Catch 22 version. He did leave the band. Catch 22 is still going on, still making some tunes, doing some performances. They're a fun band without Tom. I do enjoy Catch 22 as well. But that's kind of like what got this spotlight on Tom and his ability to write these kind of darker, technical, kind of like progressive song structures of songs. And this was 2007 when this album came out. Somewhere in the Between could like theoretically kind of be thought of as a time when ska was dead. The third wave of ska was kind of on the downside of things, and they really brought some good stuff to it and kind of rejuvenated it to a degree. Now, ska didn't never went away, and a lot of amazing ska bands were making music in 2007. We've talked to Dave from Big D and the Kids Table. They've put out great music their entire career. So I'm not here to say like, oh, ska was junk then. It wasn't, but it was just kind of dying down, I think, as far as appeal, if you will. for whatever reason that might be. Um, but Streetlight Manifesto really has made the horns kind of a focus point of the song structures, giving it opportunities to really breathe in the world of horns and like for these players to show their craftsmanship making these songs. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And it's just it's awesome the power that they really like constructed in there in this making of the album. So it begins with number one, We Will Fall Together, a fast, explosive opener. And boy, oh boy, we will fall together. 19 years later, who would have known that some of these topics are still ringing true? Uh, there's going to be a collective collapse, regardless of what you feel, regardless of what you think. There's always going to be somebody on the other side of the aisle, the other side of the table with an opposing view. But one thing is for sure, when it happens, we will fall all at one time. We'll fall together. When we're doomed, we're doomed. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you believe, what you're believing in. We screwed. It really is kind of the vibe that I get here. It's got a really good drumming. The drumming across this album as a whole is so just impressive. In this song, there's layered horns giving you a little bit of a melody to it. There's some like minor key tension, which you'll see across the album as well, and the guitar sound. And they have like a good like gang vocal to it. So it's not traditional in any way, and it's a great way to kind of like suck somebody into the album. If somebody went into it thinking, hey, this is just going to be your plain Jane ska album, it's definitely not. They're going to be intrigued, like, what did I just listen to? It's yeah, it's a crazy song, and it's impactful when they say, you know, just a lot of stuff. There'll be no victims of to speak of, and only then will we be free. That's a crazy line. Crazy line indeed. Number two goes to Down, Down, Down to the Mephisto Cafe. It's got your upbeat ska rhythm to it. It sounds like a little like kind of like fun and everything like that, but of course when you look into it a little bit more, it's it gives you kind of the vibe of that Tom is wondering about religion, being a little skeptic in religious views, and questioning belief systems. It has these bright horns in it with these dark lyrics. They have a very sing-along chorus where it's, you know, we're going down, down, down to Mephisto's Cafe. And those are some of the best songs ever. We've talked about songs like this before on the show, where it's the darkest lyrics to ever be written almost, but you have the happiest melody, the happiest tone, and like people are singing along with a smile on their face. And it's just melodic and fun. It does give a little bit of some tension every once in a while in the song, but it's pretty like classic, kind of like Streetlight Manifesto, but also a lot of people take that approach, and it's a lot of fun. Song number three is one of my all-time favorite songs from Streetlight Manifesto and on this record, Would You Be Impressed? It starts with this little like kind of like plucky guitar, and it's little like minor chord, little like dissonance going on, and then you get Tom coming in with that opening line, would you be upset if I told you we were dying? And then you get this, the horns are like create this like a little more tension, I guess you could say, but it's like it's like a drop down to it, and it really like brings you into like this frantic state. Kind of, it's kind of got like a little bit of a frantic pacing a little bit, but the horns really do a lot of great work in this song, and you get a little bit of you get a little bit of like hardcore punk energy in this as well. it's such a great song, especially like when when it gets to the end of the that first little I don't know if it's the chorus or it's like a pre-chorus, however you would want to say it. Like we whine, we dine, and everything is fine because it's not my fault. And you have somebody screaming my fault in the backgrounds in the vocals, and it just blends so well with Tom's voice, but it brings you like that oomph to it. A really awesome song. Um, it really doesn't have much of a chorus to it, really. If it does, and they kind of like change song vibes, song structure a lot throughout the song. Like you have this musical break at it at one point, and it's just like back to like the strummy guitar, and it's just so interesting how they blend all these different styles in a song that's 3 minutes and 20 seconds long. But it's just so amazing, and it's just one that sticks with me every time I listen to it, and I just love it so much. Kind of like, would you finally care if I completely destroyed myself? Self-destruction, kind of like performative suffering, if you will. And it just has everything you need to I don't know, self-destruct a little bit. The next one is also a great song. One foot on the gas and one foot on the grave. Living recklessly, not thinking about your mortality. Mortality, something I think, not worrying about your mortality, but being aware of your mortality, I should say. Um, it kind of has some themes of being anxious. And it shifts in in song structures again. It starts with quiet, like little like kind of like fades in guitar. You have Tom quietly singing like it's in the air you breathe, and it's also in the water, something you can't see. You've been warned off by your mothers. And then it comes back and just like boom. It picks up, and it's like your fun ska song again. So it comes with like this little jazzy kind of feel to it, and then it goes back into the ska vibes a little bit. And it's just thinking about your life. I think a lot of people at this point, like, I'm 35, and I've had some experiences with death of, really good friends of mine, my dad, and you do think of your mortality a little bit. You're 35. I think the average lifespan is 70 something. So I'm technically not too far away from being almost halfway through my life, which is terrifying. I have a lot of things I want to accomplish. I have one things I want to do, or a lot of things I want to do. And really, I have one foot in the grave, one foot on the gas, one foot on the grave. And it's just an interesting kind of mindset to have. It really makes you think about these types of areas. Might be uncomfortable, but also it's kind of something you have to do. And just like the breakdown sections of this song, as chef's kiss, as I think the kids would say, or I don't even know, middle-aged people would say, perhaps. Watch It Crash comes up next. And, nothing we can do but watch it crash. Sometimes you got to do that a little bit, whether that's in society, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, being holding yourself accountable, or being yourself. I guess you can watch, if you're on a path of destruction, all you can do is watch it crash in real time. Sometimes that's what you need. And it has a very like emotional like vocal delivery to it, and has like layered crescendos where it in it as well. And it just builds this tension again. Like these dudes really thought about the song structures of the song. So I kind of understand why it takes so long for them to release music, because when they're doing all this stuff and really building a song, creating a song, and creating an album that has all these things that makes you think, it's really like, it's almost like cinematic in a way, if that makes sense. Just that process is so so wild. We get to the title track, Somewhere in the Between, and this is kind of like what it's all about. This is your album, the emotional core. This is um looking at your life when you were born. One day you're going to be dead, and somewhere in the between, you got to find some meaning. You got to find a reason to keep on keeping on. And it's a song that makes you think a little bit. I think this is a hopeful song and maybe a little existential at times. But I think overall, um, it's meant to like kind of like find the good things in your life and be happy that it happened. Be happy that you exist and keep on existing while you can. Um, so you were born, and that's a good day. Someday you'll die, and that's a shame. Yeah, that is what it is. And a lot of people I don't think think about think about their mortality in that way. And it's like kind of definitely like a good like uplifting kind of feeling when you listen to the song. You have good melody, you get awesome horn work once again, and you have good like gang vocals on there. They're good. It's impressive. It's a very like profound song that makes you think about things like that. You blink twice and decades have gone by, and then you're thinking about, oh shit, I'm halfway through. We got to figure some things out. We got to do some things, and I got to reflect a little bit. So I think that's is kind of what they're saying. It's such a crazy song to think about, and the fact that it exists in the ska format is interesting. Seventh song on the album, we have 40 Days. It's been 40 days. I've tried 40 ways. You will never quite leave your sins behind. I definitely think this is an important song on the record, talking about regrets, talking about consequences, and 40 days. I think there's some religious symbolism with that. Lent, you give up something for 40 days, or you change something for 40 days. It's 40 days in the wilderness, 40 days of rain, transformation, if you will, on this one. So I think, but I think in this one, it's more like you're working through regret and consequences and the inability to change the past or change the choices that you've done. We're responsible for those choices, and we don't always get what we want. We don't know the outcomes don't always surface in a way that is the best for us. I think that's a good thing to think about. You have the tension is being built again across this song a little bit. You have those rapid kind of like horns. You have a sweet bass line. The drumming is just so good. It's so technical. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Like it's great. These are pretty deep lyrics here, and it has a little bit of those punky vibes to it. It's one that you should really enjoy. You should really listen to. The Blind Lead the Blind. Misguided people leading other misguided people. Ain't that the truth? We got a lot of that in the world right now. People not getting all the right information out there, looking at things on one side, looking at something from one perspective and not becoming a more well-rounded human. And then they're going off saying things as if it's fact, living the life in a way that they don't even know if it's true, or they don't know really the whole situation of things. It's social confusion. Maybe you have blind faith in something just because your parents believed this way, voted this way, lived this way, or maybe you're influenced by your peers, your spouse, whatever it might be. It's something that we see quite a bit 19 years later. Yet again, I don't think that's ever going anywhere, unfortunately, especially now when there's so much information and there's so much things that you don't even know are what is what. It's insane. Unfortunately, people are manipulated to think certain ways. It is a really technical song. It's got good trumpet sounds on there. You have a big instrumental kind of bridge, and the horn section really like kind of takes it. They do well with it. I like that because there's ska bands out there that don't necessarily give the horns the love they deserve. That they're there more just for driving the melody, driving the rhythm, and they're not like a focal point. Like that's a critical part of being a ska band is the horns. You got to have the horns. You got to give them their, their whatever it is, their dues. Give them their props. What do the kids say these days? I don't even know, but it's something that you need to have in a band, especially if you're a freaking ska band. The receiving end of it all. It is a song, I think, looking at the collapse of a relationship, being pooped out in a relationship, and it's another Streetlight Manifesto dynamic across this song. You get acoustic, you get gang vocals, you get these rhythm builds up. So Marigold, my love, you've had too much to drink. I need not remind you our discount tickets for the sinking ship. It's got some emotional pacing to it. That's kind of what it is. It's a failed love song, a failed relationship song. That's how it goes. We get quite a bit of those in music, and how you construct it is an impactful way to make it good. It's just like another love song out there, but no, Streetlight Manifesto. There's not just another Streetlight Manifesto song. They're all just so amazing. I don't know. I've said that 8,000 times, but I'll say it another 8,000 times. I'll scream it from the rooftops all I want. I love Streetlight Manifesto. The final song on the album is What a Wicked Gang We Are. And it's a looking at outsider culture, looking at kind of like what went wrong. When I look back, that's when I see everything was wrong. And you look sad. That's when I said I'd write you a song. We know we're broken, but this is kind of our family. This is who we are. This is our part of our identity. And that's what we got to do. It's got this kind of marching band feel to it. It's layered harmonies. It's very like punk rock musical theater in a way. And it's a great way to end this record. It leaves you feeling not complete, but it makes it feel like a complete album. Like you're exploring all these things and you're talking about all these things. Life is going to continue. And when you look back, it's like, holy moly, we rebelled, we kicked some ass, and we've kept on living. It's really an amazing album. And if you think about it, Streetlight Manifesto only has, if you exclude KSB Nights, because they re-recorded that in 2006, you have Everything Goes Numb, and then moves to Somewhere in Between. 2010, they did the 99 Songs of Revolution Volume 1, the only volume that we've seen. That was 11 songs, so, we still are owed 88 more. They're all covers. They do a really good cover of Linoleum on there, Punk Rock Girl. It's pretty good. And then in 2013, The Hands That Thieve was released. And then 13 years later, we're supposed to get this new record. There are those 3 songs that are out there. But thinking, here's my theory on looking at the Streetlight Manifesto's Somewhere in Between artwork. So when you look at it, like I said, it looks kind of like an old school kitchen tile, if you will. You have 3 sections of it. You have majority of the cover, probably a good 75% of it are these blue swirly circles kind of on top of each other. It says somewhere in between in white under it. And then you have this kind of like brown, hilly kind of look to it. It is more like it's not brown, but it's like a clay, maybe a lighter clay color. And then underneath it, you have it looks like the skin of a snake or a reptile, and it's this orangey red. And I think when you think of the themes and you think of what the album is talking about, somewhere in the between, I think it's like I kind of think it's a religious take on things, and Tom is not shied away from his skepticism with it, but or it's just like a symbol of being in the between. Above us, we have the great blue sky that is never ending. We don't know anything about what goes on beyond the stars, if you will. It just never ends, or does it end? We don't know. But that is really like the majority of our existence is the sky, is this universe. You have this little part, the clay light cream color brown thing, that I think that symbolizes Earth a little bit. Like this is where we are. And then below us is, maybe it's hell, maybe it's just like kind of the underground, maybe it's like deep in the earth. And that's where we are. We are between those things. So somewhere in the between, we're on earth. It's I think a symbolism of like heaven and hell. You could say like the sky being heaven, you could say underneath being hell. I think there's a lot of ways to interpret this artwork, and I could be completely wrong, 100% wrong, and I'll own up to that if I am. But just based on what I see in here in this album, I think that I might be onto something, or I could just be full of shit, and that's fine too. But it was interesting. Like I was looking at this album, and I'm like, what is this trying to say? Like, there's got to be a reason for it, right? It's not just something that was hodgepodge together. And that's what I came up with. I don't know if it's ever really been discussed about what is going on with it. Hopefully I'm right. That'd be really sweet if I was right. I'd feel good about myself. And I'd feel like I'm a punk rock god who can interpret album covers. But overall in this world of ska, I think I think Streetlight Manifesto really changed the opinions on ska for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like it just because they feel it's a little too jokey and stuff. And I would say now in this current world of ska, there are some jokey songs, but for the most part, it's about pretty serious stuff, and they have meaningful lyrics and meaningful songs. So I wouldn't discount it by any means ever. I love it, and I did kind of, I don't want to say I stepped away from it, but I didn't really listen to it all that much for a good chunk of time. And then I've kind of like fallen back into it a little bit, and it makes me happy. The songs might be dark, but the music feels great, and it's fun to just kind of like dance to while you're singing about everything going wrong every once in a while. It's a good one to check out. Buy it if you can find it. I was able to find it, a used copy of the vinyl. I think it was a reissue. But still, I was pretty pumped when I found it in really good shape too. So it's in the collection, and I will continue to spin it for all times. Hopefully this new record from Streetlight comes out very, very soon. I think they're hitting the road with Devin Kane, the Solutions at some point. They're Devin Kane, the Solutions also are really fun. They're a fun ska band to go check out. I've seen them a couple of times, but Streetlight Manifesto will be going on tour, which is pretty exciting. I don't know the last time that happens. I've only had the opportunity to see them one time. They played with MXPX, Whole Wheat Bread, and A Real Big Fish. And unfortunately, it was a time where I didn't really know who Streetlight Manifesto was. I really enjoyed it. They were a lot of fun, and they were really good. And of course, when they played KSB Nights, I was like, oh, all right. Like I know this one, but I haven't seen them since. And that was in 2006. So I haven't seen them in in 20 years, which is a bit of a bummer. They don't make it around to the Midwest where I'm at too frequently, I don't think, but they are doing a tour overseas. They're doing some London shows, but they'll be in like Vermont, Maine, New Jersey. That's where they're from. Denver, California. They got some shows in July. That could be good. That could be a good one. They're also playing with the Aquabats and a Willem Scream June 26th somewhere at the Long Summer Nights. I don't know where that is. It ain't around me though, which is a real bummer. So maybe one day I'll win the lottery, hopefully soon, and then I can just fly to one of these shows to go enjoy. If you happen to be in their area that they're touring in, don't miss it. You will regret it if you do. I love Streetlight Manifesto. You're listening to P is for Punk. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit me up on all socials. Best place to do that, linktr.ee/P is for Punk is my link tree. And you can get the links to all socials and all that kind of stuff. Shoot me some emails if you'd like. P is for Punk podcast at gmail.com. Don't email my personal email. I got to get that changed. That thing is flooded with nothing but garbage. So there's a good chance I'm not going to see your email. If you send it to my personal email, get me on the P is for Punk one because it's a little bit better. But I'd like to talk to some more people. I'm going to be reaching out to some bands pretty soon and hopefully getting them on and talking more music. But there it is. S was for somewhere in the between. We'll catch you next time.